Okay, say you're about to retire. You're moving into this next big chapter of life, and there's a lot of complexity associated with it. Maybe the word retire isn't even the best one to use in your particular case. Our next guest argues for a phrase called the work optional life. His name is Scott Armstrong. He recently wrote a book called Retire and Aspire. He joins us now from Vancouver to talk about it. Hello there, Scott.
Great to see you, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
Well, you say you don't like the word retire, and it's in the title of your book. What gives?
You know what? Retirement, it's a fluid thing. You could go work optional. You could go reinvention, second phase. The whole idea is retirement usually means stop. And that's the kind of sentiment we want to get rid of from whatever word we attach to it.
Yeah, when I wrote my first book, I called it the no paycheck phase because I'm going to work
Mhm.
forever, whether I get paid for it or not. I don't know. We have spoken in the past on this program about the Mind Switch Academy. Just before we get into the book, give us the broader context here. What's Mind Switch?
Mind Switch is all about, it's a revolution. I consider myself a evangelist for retirement. Society has not, in my opinion, and many others, caught up with what retirement can truly be for folks. We're still thinking about the 80s pension, retire at 65 and just sit on the porch and now play pickleball. And it's so much more.
Oh my God, I love pickleball, but you're right. It is so much more. And I'm not even close to retirement. I love pickleball. So you've got six principles in the book:
Mhm.
vitality, purpose, adventure, finances, social, living, legacy. What do you mean by vitality? What fits under there?
But Vitality means that for the first 4 decades of our life, our bodies and minds just show up. Evolution has got us wired that way. And somewhere in the decades after, years after, it starts to switch a little bit, and we've got to actually ask it to come forward. So in Harvard, they did a study with the guys and gals who are in their 90s doing their master's, MBA actually, and compared it to those in their 30s, and they performed on par. So the short stroke is we've still got it. We just got to ask for it to show up.
Wow. How does one do that? It sounds like you're going to ensure that I do Sudoku every day.
Oh, Sudoku's part of it. I love Clint Eastwood. He says, "I don't let the old dude in." You know, every time
Right.
every day you've got to fight because your body's genetically wired to wind down once you pass 50. So how do you do it? You've got to have things. Here's some things. Power of your posse. Who are you hanging with? If I'm hanging with you, Bruce, you're going to be doing stuff well into your 90s. I know it. I'd want to
Mhm.
be part of that atmosphere. So who you hang with becomes a real important part of what you see is possible. The piece that stumbles for most folks is when they retire, they go into the honeymoon suite of activities. They travel, they downsize, they renovate, they get the dog, they play with the grandkids. And all that is good fodder, but it doesn't tickle the ivories in the head. It doesn't get the mind
Mhm.
going at all. So we have to mind switch to think it's okay to challenge yourself physically and mentally in 65. As a matter of fact, it's essential. Dr. Becca Levi wrote a book on breaking the age code, and how you think about your retirement affects your lifespan by 7.5 years. So that's
Wow.
why the mind switch is kind of powerful.
Yeah. Purpose would seem very much on brand. What is your way to open that door for people who maybe haven't spent a lot of time in the land of self-actualization?
No, because usually when we're in our 40s and 50s, we're taking care of family, we've got career and stuff like that. That forward thinking after career is a real tough place to go. So when we get thinking about purpose, I put out what I call an interest radar, and it really should start 5 years, 7 years before you think you're going to transition to build that runway. We want to avoid a hard stop, but you take a look at things that get your attention and don't look at goals. Goals I don't enjoy. The
Mhm.
journey and the process of being curious about things. I got C's in grade 12 and 13 English in high school. I hope I hope my teacher's not listening, but I love writing, and so I got curious not to have a bestseller, but to actually learn how to write because I enjoy it and I learn from that. So whatever purpose is, it can be small purpose, it can be big purpose, anything in between, something that gets you excited every morning and causes growth.
Yeah, I love your contrarian view on goals because I am exactly the opposite. Life is a
Mm.
destination for me. I am all about the destination. Journey schmurney,
Yeah.
overrated, too soft and abstract. I want
Analytical mind.
goals. New York Marathon, pickleball
Yes.
3.5.
Yes.
You do include finances in this, so it's not
Yeah.
all of the sort of more ephemeral things. What do you think is the number one thing you want people to take away on the finances part of your
Okay,
method?
I'm going to backtrack on that because you threw the gut down the gauntlet and I need to pick it up. Earning the Benefits and Research Institute in the US said the number one concern for those retiring now is no longer finances. It is purpose afterwards. The financial piece is that you've got go-go years, you've got slow-go years, and you've got no-go years in your retirement. Those are cliched. They're not mine. It's just what it is. But the
Yep.
expenses get expensive towards the end. But most folks, when I work with financial planners, just say it's hard to get people to spend their money when they've got the go-go years. The 50s and 60s, health is good and mobility is good. So, have those, big adventures, but do them earlier and retire, transition, reinvent earlier because you'll never have better health than you do now. You can always earn another year's worth of income down the road, but you don't get what Mother Nature's given you for your
Mm.
current year.
Living legacy is principle number 6. What does
Mhm.
that mean? Does that mean I'm cutting checks for my grandchildren? I don't even have any grandchildren. I don't know if I'm going to have any grandchildren. Maybe.
I don't know. You're not comfortable talking about non-monetary stuff. So this is going to be ooey and gooey for you.
Oh my God, I'm
It's
all ooey and gooey. If you read my book,
okay.
I got lots of ooey and gooey. Do not worry.
The 5 words, living legacy, are the 5 words that you want people to use to describe you as they watch you live your work optional life. Because it's your spouse, it's your family, it's your kids, it's your community. And if you think about your parents and how they lived their retirement, or your grandparents, we take cues, heavy, heavy cues from that generation and around. So you are now on stage, sir, and other people are watching you. What do you want to tell them?
Ooh, that you mean about my final years? So I'm
How
choosing
you
5
live.
words? Huh?
Yeah, how you're living those 5 years. Are you
Yeah.
generous? Are you all those kinds of things? What would they be for you?
Adventure,
Hmm.
adventure, contribution,
Hmm.
curiosity, vitality. I'm putting my very good looks under vitality. I don't know that they need a
Okay.
separate category, but
No,
I'm
that's
going to
fair
make
enough.
sure all of this is holding together. All of this, for those of you listening on the radio, I'm framing my face here. I am going to hold oil of Olay daily UV protectant from now until they throw dirt in my face in 50 years.
Yes. So the next question I'd leave you is with those 5 words you've got, how do they show up in your life? It's
Mm,
like a personal brand. Companies
yeah,
have brands. Moolala has a brand. You
yeah.
have a brand as of someone in retirement. What do you want it to say, and how does it show up? And that's often a good way to help people to find their purpose.
Very interesting. We've just got a couple of minutes left here. What would you say are the pitfalls or the things that you really like doubled down in the book on because they're the traps that you see people fall into over and over and over again?
Here's the phrase that does not pay. Let's see how it goes. Just will get to the finish line of my career, hand
Oh,
in the base, and just sort of drop off. And that's the retirement chasm because anxiety builds up. You are a noted podcast. What happens if all of a sudden that disappears, that identity that you've built yourself around?
yeah.
And a lot of CEOs that I've talked to have just said, man, I'm nothing without my business. I don't know what to do. Confidence goes down. So pitfall one is don't wait till you actually transition. Start building a little bit of a runway for yourself a few years in advance.
Yeah. Last thing. You spoke to lots of people. There's a lot of great case studies and stories. What is one or maybe two that really stand out to you that you want to make sure people, maybe they'll read the book, maybe they won't read the book, but the
Mhm.
essence of the story could really be compelling and engaging for them?
I like that we have purpose. So Paul Snyder is one of the stories in the book, and the other one is certainly Andrew Menard, who you and I share, very strong fondness for. Paul retired from the tech industry in 42, and a lot of folks, when they retire, they're thinking, well, it's my turn. And Paul went and said, it's my turn to contribute.
Mm,
And he's developed photovoltaic lights for kids in Kenya so they can read their school books at night and stuff like that. So the piece that really comes through when when you get to that place where you don't care about taking care of just yourself anymore,
mm,
you look to care for others, that's when people really light up. All of us light up when we start giving back.
that's
And
great.
one of your words was contribution.
100%. And
Yeah.
that's been a through line for me since my 20s. Not
Hmm.
the quality of your life is a function of the quality of the lives of those around you. That's like my North Star. Andrea Menard, what is one thing that you want us to take away from her story?
Andrew Menard is going to be being in touch with a whole community that, and Andrew's if you've heard her name, she's on Sullivan's Crossing on CTV. She's got shows that go out, but she really relates to attaching into her own internal values and manifesting them through everything. And I mean, everything that she does. So, success, money follows her. But when you meet Andrea Menard, oh, you don't find anybody who's more at their own core than her.
Yeah. Yeah. She sparkles. And
she sparkles.
She sure does. Scott, thank you so much for spending the time with us today to talk about your book.
Always appreciate it, Bruce. Thanks for putting me on the hot seat.
You're welcome. Scott Armstrong is the author of Retire and Aspire, and his through line here is an idea called Mind Switch.